So, most of you know, if you've been getting our newsletter, that we have been in Liberia now for just coming up to 5 years, which is amazing. We said we would go for 5 years, and here we are. It's been 5 years. And why are we planning on going back again since we've done the 5 years? Well, let's see if we can explain that a little bit to you. So here's where Liberia is in West Africa. It's a country a little bit smaller than England, population about 5 million. And yet it only has somewhere in the regions of 7 dentists. Yes, you heard that correctly, 7 dentists for 5 million people. And this is where we live, on the ELWA compound. There's our house. It's about 70 paces from the Atlantic Ocean. And about, you can see on the top right there where the hospital is, where Grace and I do most of our work. That's about 0.8 of a mile from our house. This is our house, surrounded by palm trees, what looks like vaguely green grass. And you look at a picture like this and you think, gosh, what a great place to live. Who wouldn't want to live in Liberia? Well, Liberia has its challenges, and here's a sort of a summary of some of them. I wouldn't want to overemphasize these things, but I wouldn't want to underemphasize them either. Living in Liberia is not the easiest place in the world. I suppose if we had to highlight probably 2 of these, the heat and humidity and intermittent power have been some of the biggest struggles over recent months. I'm not going to mention the problems again. We're going to talk about the positives, but want you to just bear in mind that living in Liberia has a cost to it. So why are we in Liberia? Well, many of you know that in earlier part of our life, Grace and I worked in Ethiopia for 8 years. And we've been back in the UK since 1996. In 2014, we started to get the idea, it might be now possible for us to go and work overseas again. And that followed a period of nearly 3 years of investigation, culminating in 2016 when we visited Liberia for a week. And we both came away from that time thinking, wow, God is really going to have to make it clear if this is not the right place for us, because we both felt that there would be amazing opportunities to use the gifts and abilities that God had given us. But we want to just emphasize that most of you know us, and we're not one of these. We are not superheroes. We're just ordinary people seeking to do what we can to serve and glorify God. So Grace is going to share a little bit about the things that she has been up to. And please bear in mind as she shares this, that this is the things that she's been doing over the whole of the 5 years, and not all of the things that she's doing right now.
So I started off working in the hospital, and that's been something that I've not done recently since COVID because of having to go from ward to ward, and that wasn't recommended during COVID, obviously. But there were some times that I found things that people didn't really like, and so that's also another reason why they've asked me not to continue. Anyway, that's one part which I may get back to. Doing buying shops. On the right, you can see some shops, a supermarket, and see how many of one thing there is on the shelves. And then obviously buying at the markets, and I make a lot of bunting because I do a lot of sewing. So I did some bunting for a function that we were having. I love sewing, so I made these costumes for the children for the school play, and I've been involved in doing some circumcising of children. I've done about 6 of those, not recently, but that was what I learned and then done some. This was a great positive thing. This man had fallen into a fire. I don't quite know how, but anyway, he was severely burnt, as you can see. And the top half of the left-hand picture, you can see that there's been some healing, but it was still quite dirty. And so we managed to get it healed up sufficiently so that he could have a skin graft. And the left-hand picture's about 2 years before the right-hand picture. And so he was had the skin graft, and it all took well, and it was very positive. Lovely, lovely man, lovely Christian man, and just great to have many opportunities to talk about God with him, and to him to strengthen our faith and us to strengthen his faith as well. Lovely. I'm involved with the ETAC training, which is the emergency triage, assessment and treatment, basically doing triage and basic life support for children and young people, but for the nurses to know better how to handle different circumstances of sick children. So this is me on the left teaching, and then this is in the small group work, and this is what's on the table while we're doing small group work, but I've been involved with that, and we've done 6 or 7 of those now, these training programs, which is a 5-day course. So we're going in August, there'll be another one, so I'll be involved with that as well. So yes, fish, obviously we're living right by the ocean, so we have a lot of fish. So I don't know what this sort of fish is, but that's a fish,
a big one.
a big fish that I then fillet, and we've got lots of food to eat on that. And I love fabric, so that's me at a fabric store looking at a sewing machine. Our family obviously are not with us, but we do have the opportunity to be surrogate grandparents to one particular family. This is our future director, Nicholas Piaget, and his these are 2 of his 4 children, and Malvina is Simon's colleague in the dental clinic. So that was me just getting used to having a little one, and obviously we do have a grandchild now, but he's obviously not going to be in Liberia with us, so it's nice to have cuddles with little ones. Anyway, doing gardening and making gingerbread houses near Christmas. Usually I do that with each family on the compound. They come and make a house between them, and that's a lot of fun. A lot of hospitality and housekeeping, generally, just keeping the home going. Yeah, when we went up country to Voinjama, I was involved with glucose testing for anybody that was over 50. So we did a big survey of that, and I checked everybody, and then I did some teaching for those who had a high blood sugar, and tried to help them to see that there were some dietary things that they could do to change their status on that. And then I do a lot of teaching and instructing as well with different people. Make a lot of jam, usually mango or pineapple, and mango chutney as well, which is lovely. Just in the last year, I've been helping in the, or 6 months really, I've been helping in the kindergarten with, this is the teacher in the yellow on the left, and he's got about 8 missionary children in his group, but every so often he needs an extra pair of hands. So I volunteered to go on a Monday morning and help. On Monday I did the whole session and did arty crafty things with them. But I'm not the teacher, he's the teacher. I'm just the extra help. But it was really good fun. Lots of lovely little ones to be involved with. Laundry, going out to the washing line. There's lots of ants in the soil and the grass, so I often have to wear wellies to get out there, because I've got a severe reaction to the ants. When they bite me, they make a nasty mess and a lot of pain, so that's my tactic for avoiding them. And then taking a friend out and having a time when we just share and listen to each other. That's another thing that I do quite a bit of. Yes, monitoring the workforce as we're doing we've changed the roof on our house recently, because I don't know, some of you will remember we had a tree falling into this end bedroom when rain and coconuts came in at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, it was repaired in a hurry on that occasion, but it's never been properly repaired. So this was us repairing the whole roof and getting that sorted out, because a lot of the rafters had gone rotten. And then on this occasion, with the meals that you see, fresh broccoli and cauliflower on the plate, these are very rare in Liberia, and I saw them at the shop and I bought them at great expense, but it was great. So there's only twice that I've bought cauliflower and broccoli in the last 5 years in Liberia, fresh. Yes, most of our vegetables are frozen, and although that's okay, it's lovely to have fresh veg sometimes. So this is my baby doll Annie, and this shows a nappy arrangement that I've tried to teach some of the poorer mums at the hospital how to put some cloth in this plastic bag and cut the bag in a particular way that it's a good nappy, because the Pampers are far too expensive for any of these poor ladies to afford. And then obviously that's me doing my nursing. Yeah, the ocean, Atlantic Ocean, very near and very warm, although it doesn't look like I'm very warm there. yes, growing a pineapple. We've got quite a few of them going in the garden. They take 2 or 3 years to grow, so it's a long program. But anyway, it's a lot of fun to see the garden produce a lovely fruit. And then hosting a party for a couple that were having their 50th wedding anniversary, and the whole compound came, and then we invited them, and they came, and they're completely surprised that we'd got this party going for them. So that was nice too. When I was first there, I was helping a bit with the guest house, and this was me receiving guests at the guest house one night. Do a lot of supporting Simon. This is washing the chairs, the dental chairs down, so that they were fit when they first arrived, when the new clinic was getting opened. And I do a lot of sewing, and this is me with some surgical gowns and things that I'm repairing. I'm pretty good with spiders. I do quite a bit of teaching, but this in the hospital, but this is me teaching at the women's conference, and then doing I was doing the health talk actually, and then this was the hand washing demonstration. Not the rain came down and the floods came up, as some people thought. Anyway, just recently I've been involved also with the under 5 clinic. It's a very well organized clinic where we do the assessment of whether children are malnourished or not, and then record all their data in. That's my role in the recording and measuring and weighing the babies and seeing where they come on the scale of malnourishment. And then we've got a very good program to get them built up and sent back home. That's a very good program I'm involved with. Because a long time ago, our son Jonathan has had a heart condition all his life. So for me, I know what it feels like to be in a hospital where your child is sick, and I felt very strongly that I should go and visit these mums with the sick children, because the doctors are all dealing with the children, but there's nobody actually ministering to the mums. And I felt strongly that I would go and share a Bible story and just help them to realize that God is faithful, whatever the circumstances, and that from my own experience I could share about how God has helped me to cope with the difficult times, and hopefully that helps them as well. And this is the groups of people, and these are the ladies that I've been sharing about the nappy, and then I talk a bit about contraception and get them to have help if they need that, and just they just open up, and there's lots of questions, and sometimes I can help, and sometimes at least I can point them in the right direction. But it's a really positive time. Yeah, pumping water when we were up country, and I was quite involved in the warehouse when we first arrived, and making yogurt. I mean, that's to get all your A to Z. So thank you.
So that's what Grace has been up to. My work has been very limited to dentistry, strangely enough. And I'm going to try and give you an overview of what's been happening in the last 5 years. So here I am modeling one of my dental tunics in front of the Atlantic Ocean. I didn't start the clinic, Trinity Dental Clinic, as we mentioned in the chat before the presentation. It was started by Keith Chapman and Frieda Schmidt, who were both working on the Mercy ship and felt a need for a land-based facility. And Trinity Dental Clinic was opened in 2008. But Keith left in 2012 and Frieda left at the end of 2015. Just a warning, if you're of a squeamish nature, will be 1 or 2 dental pictures. Most of them are reasonable, and you'll get fair warning for the one that's not. So this is Angie, our clinic manager. She's fantastic. She uses Facebook, and in February, as she was going through her Facebook feed, she came across Thomas. Thomas was posting because he thought he was going to die. Thomas is a student activist at the University of Liberia, and he'd been told that this swelling was caused by a witch putting a curse on him. But Angie thought otherwise. And when we get to the end of the presentation and the video, you'll see what happened to Thomas. But the point I wanted to get across is that dental infections can cause serious problems. And the main areas that we see in the dental clinic are in these 3 main areas. So tooth decay caused by sugar, trauma, whether it's falling over or a stone or a car accident, and then cysts and tumours. So I'll try and briefly illustrate. We see a lot of swellings. Usually patients come because the swelling is there, it's painful, they can't open their mouth. so the infection needs draining, antibiotics, so that eventually they can come back a few days later and open their mouth and the tooth can be removed. And I think the message, or one of the messages to really get across, is to never underestimate the significance that taking someone's tooth out can have. You might think it's difficult getting an NHS dentist here in the UK. Well, I can tell you in Liberia, dental problems can be serious. They can lead to death, not to mention pain, swelling, suffering, etc., etc. And so that's a real take-home message that I want to get across. Trauma. This young lady had broken her front tooth either by falling over or somebody threw a rock at her. She came in because she was having pain, probably wanting the tooth to be extracted, but we said, no, there's a different way. And so one of our staff did a root canal filling. We put a plastic tip on her tooth and we sent her away with a new smile. And you can see here that we make a difference in God's name, one person at a time. This gentleman came in wanting his teeth taken out and a plastic denture. And we said to him, look, you know, you don't need to have the teeth taken out. And I spent about 2.5 hours with some plastic filling material, and we sent him out looking like that. I was pretty delighted, and so was he. We see a lot of broken teeth. Why do teeth get broken? Well, teeth get broken in Liberia because Liberians like to chew on bone. And I don't just mean chewing on a chicken bone. I mean getting a rib of a cow and crunching it to powder in your mouth to get the juices out and the goodness. And you can see a little grey line on his tooth. And after the tooth has been removed, we show them the crack. And they promise never to chew bone again until they come back the next time with the same problem. So we try and get the message across, but people don't always listen. I did offer to stand as president of Liberia in the elections in 2018 on an anti-bone chewing platform, but my staff said no one would vote for me. We see a lot of broken jaws. The main reason for broken jaws in Liberia is probably motorbikes. People ride them with many of people on the bike, no helmets, and there's a lot of accidents. In February and March, I fixed 12 broken jaws, and we wire the jaws together with metal arch bars and then elastic bands, and they have to keep their teeth together for 6 weeks. And the first question, of course, that they ask is, how are we going to eat? And we say, with difficulty. And then we show them samples of baby rice and cream of wheat that they can put round the back of their teeth in order to eat while their jaws are close together. It's old-fashioned dentistry, but it works. And we can do this in the dental chair under local anaesthetic, so it's a safer procedure. Now here's Mark. Mark has a tumour, a benign tumour, but he's lived with this tumour for most of his adult life. He's going around with his hoodie up to cover the swelling. For those of you of a dental orientation, this is an ameloblastoma. It's quite a common tumour that we see in the dental clinic and in Africa, particularly in West Africa. And Mark came to see us in 2019, and in beginning of 2020, we were able to take Mark up to Guinea, to Hope Medical Centre, where my UK colleague, Dr. Tony Giles, comes to do surgeries. And he has taught Dr. Jean, the dentist there, the surgeon there, sorry, to do these maxillofacial operations. And I was privileged to be able to assist Tony in taking off Mark's tumour. It took 6 hours to remove that tumour, along with the half of his mandible, and another 4 hours to put the metal bar back in and reconstruct his face. And here's Mark. The one on the left is taken about 3 or 4 weeks after his operation, and the one on the right about 6 months. Now, he doesn't look perfect, but you'll notice he's not going around with a hoodie anymore. If the story ended there, that would be good enough. But Mark likes to keep in touch with me on Facebook and, sorry, on WhatsApp. And he messaged me in February and he said, Dr. Simon, I found somebody like me. Is it all right if I bring him to the clinic? I said, sure. And so Mark brought Otis to the clinic. And we didn't have to explain much to Otis because Mark had already been a great evangelist, telling him everything that needed to be done. And so I contacted Tony, and Tony said, well, look, if you can send Otis up to Guinea, Dr. Jean, the surgeon that Tony's worked with and trained, should be able to do this procedure. And we asked Otis to raise half the cost. So he came back the following week saying he'd managed to raise $500, and that's about 400 and something pounds. And the dental clinic covered the balance of his costs from a benevolence fund that we have. And so we sent Otis up to Guinea. And this is where the warning comes in. Turn away now if you don't want to see something gruesome. This is what Dr. Jean removed. And what you can see from this picture is it is not a tumor on the jaw. The jaw is the tumor. So the whole of the mandible on that side of his face has to be removed. You can see the teeth there. And then once that has been removed, then the face is reconstructed with a metal bar. And here is Mark about 10 days after his operation. We haven't seen him yet because he came back to Liberia after we'd already come back to the UK. So I'm looking forward to seeing him face to face shortly. But you can imagine that he is praising God for the opportunity to be treated, changing one person at a time in Jesus' name. So what about the dental clinic? Well, ELWA Hospital has been functioning in Liberia since the middle of the 1960s. The hospital was getting very tired, and Samaritan's Purse funded the construction of a new hospital on the same compound, but just sort of across the road. And this was opened in October 2016. But the dental clinic wasn't included in phase 1 of the plan. And so the old dental clinic, which you can see on the left, was what we were using when I arrived in 2017. And the plan was to knock the old hospital down and build doctors' residences. But of course, that couldn't be done until the poor old dental clinic, surrounded by all these empty buildings, needed to be rehoused. So I was asked to come up with a plan. And so a month after we arrived, Grace and I started playing with bits of graph paper and conceived a dental clinic. I had anticipated that there might be an architect involved, and then that transpired that was me. So I got to design an 8-surgery clinic. The old clinic had 4 surgeries, and I thought 8 surgeries would be more than enough. And so plans were drawn up, building was started, and in March 19, the new Trinity Dental Clinic was opened. And I wish I could tell you that half the surgeries are still empty, but that's not the case because they're all full. We have a fantastic facility, central sterilizing. It's literally in the center, and 8 surgeries, which are all fully in use. We have modern equipment, but it's all very basic. So I've tried to keep the technology down to a bare minimum, but we're still using computers for our record keeping. We have a fantastic team. Vicky, there'll be people there you recognize. The person in charge of the clinic when I arrived was Eddie. And when we met Eddie in 2016, he shared with us his passion for seeking to meet the dental needs of Liberia. And he has had 6 months training in India in 2011. And then he's been taught a number of things by Keith and other visiting dentists. So much so that when I arrived in Liberia, it was Eddie that taught me how to fix broken jaws. Eddie, we managed to get into dental school, and Eddie started in Nairobi Dental School in Kenya in 2018. And he is currently in his 3rd year. The reason for that is he failed the 1st year and had to resit, and he's due to finish the 3rd year by the end of August. And the plan in the long term is that when he graduates, hopefully by December 2024, he will come back again and take back over from me, which is one of the reasons why we're planning to be going back to Liberia on the 19th of July. So please pray for Eddie. Here's my colleague Melvina. Melvina and her family are from Switzerland. Melvina works in the clinic on a Monday and a Thursday morning. The reason she doesn't work more than that is because she has a young family to look after, and her husband Nicholas is going to be our new SIM Liberia director starting in August, and they're due to come back from Switzerland to Liberia at the beginning of next month for that to happen. So Melvina's a great help, but her help is limited to 2 mornings a week. Hina is a Philippine trained. She's Liberian. She trained for 6 years in the Philippines, and she came for work experience last year, and we quickly snapped her up, and she's been working in the clinic ever since. Matilda had 6 months training in India in 2012, and I've since taught her to do root canals on front teeth along with fillings and extractions. Over the last few years, I've trained a series of staff members to take teeth out, starting with Archie and Daniel, then Wani, and most recently Charles. And that's why we are running 8 surgeries full. In January 20, Robbie was visiting for a month, and she gave some hygiene training to 2 of our staff. So we now have 3 people able to do cleaning of teeth. So we have a full complement of staff, and all those 8 surgeries are busy on any given Monday to Friday in the week. Wani, we've been trying to get her to dental school in Nairobi for over a year with very little success and very poor communication with the university. And once COVID started lifting, Hina came and suggested, why don't we try to get Wani into the Philippines? And I'm not kidding, literally within a few weeks of Wani sending off her application, she was on the plane. And Wani, this was the day that I left to come back to the UK on the 14th of April, hoping that I wouldn't see her again. And here she is. She is now a registered dental student at the Adventist University in the Philippines. She's started classes a couple of weeks ago. She's doing an interim semester before the first year starts proper in September. So pray for Wani. She's never left Liberia before, and she's going to be on a 6-year course. Probably won't be coming back to Liberia for at least 2 years for the first holiday. So pray for her. She's the future, along with Eddie, for dentistry in Liberia. In addition to the work we do in the clinic, we've been on quite a few outreach trips in the last 2 to 3 years. Most of them are overland in a Land Cruiser. Sometimes people get to go in the Samaritan's Purse helicopter. My turn next. And on one occasion, we took the MAF plane right up to the north of Liberia. Everywhere we go, there's always a good crowd, and the pastor will preach the gospel, and then while they're doing that, we're setting up, and we either work in like a school room, or in a church building that's had partitions put up with bamboo and plastic screening. And this is one of my favorite pictures. And the reason it's one of my favorite pictures is because ask yourself the question here, who is doing the work? And the answer is not me. The work is being done by the people that I've trained. And for me, that's the most exciting thing. Training other people and equipping them to do the work that I can do, so that I don't have to do it and they can do it. And it's really exciting to hear them talking about how they can help their own countrymen by doing this ministry. That's really exciting. We're using Dentaid Field Kit, and we set up our little stall wherever we go. We are able to pray for our patients, which is not always something that you can do in the UK. We ask their permission first, of course. And we have state-of-the-art sterilization equipment, using a pressure cooker either on a charcoal pot on the left or on a kerosene stove on the right. And on this particular occasion, my beautiful assistant is doing the sterilizing. Sometimes it's me that does that, while the Liberian staff do the extractions. And we take a lot of teeth out. So, for example, last July, we went on the MAF plane up to Voinjama. We took 4 clinic staff, and then the guy in the white shirt is Musa. He's a converted imam and now a Christian evangelist. And the trip in the plane took about 1 hour and 10 minutes to fly up to Voinjama, a journey that would take in a Land Cruiser 9 to 10 hours in the dry season and a lot longer in the wet season. And so we set up our shop. Musa was busy talking about Jesus in the waiting room. which was amazing in itself. And the guys set to work, and over 3.5 days, over 430 teeth were taken out, which is quite amazing. But of course, the problem is that as soon as we leave Voinjama, nobody's taking any teeth out. And that brings us to the future, of course. This is Archie, one of my tooth extractors. Every Wednesday, he's on ELWA radio, talking about teeth, talking about how to look after your teeth, talking about some of the myths, like, for example, will I die if I have my last tooth extracted? And just today, he has been advertising for students for our new dental therapy school on the radio for the first time. So that brings us very neatly to the next phase. Why, or one of the reasons why we're going back to Liberia. So over the last year or more, we have been planning to open a dental therapy training school. Why is that? Well, as I said at the beginning, there are only 7 dentists in Liberia, and yet the needs are vast. The problem with the people that I've trained, Archie and Daniel and Wani and Charles, they can take teeth out, but again, they're not qualified. They don't have any recognition. And so the plan is to address that particular issue. And here is the dental clinic as it was when we first opened. No grass or flowers, but notice the space on the right. Here is where the plan is for the dental therapy school to go. And just incidentally, you'll notice the wall of the clinic, the wall of the compound immediately behind the clinic, and you can see the more densely populated housing on the other side of the wall. And the road that you're looking at, that is the main highway out to the airport. The Chinese are in the process of turning it into a dual carriageway, and it's a very muddy mess. At least it was when we left, and I'm sure it's no better right now. But anyway, back to the dental therapy school. So here is an artist's impression, complete with palm trees, that Graham mentioned earlier. The dental clinic is on the left, and the proposed new therapy school on that space that I showed you on the right-hand side. And what I've been doing over the last year or so is building up a team. And the team consists of people in the UK. So we have Professor Rob from the dental school, Peninsula Dental School in Plymouth. And then we have folks in Liberia like Dr. Ramel. She's the president of Cuttington University, one of the largest private universities in Liberia. Rob came out to visit us in December, and we were able to go up to Cuttington, and we were able to develop a curriculum, a 2-year curriculum for the dental therapy school. And Rob has been working out details of how to turn that curriculum into individual lectures. The guys at Cuttington have been working very hard on their own side, and Cuttington University will be hosting us. We will become a campus of Cuttington University, and Cuttington University will be starting to offer a diploma as a dental therapy practitioner. This will be a 2-year course, and students will be trained at a very basic level. They'll be high school graduates, and they will be trained to do basic dental care, extractions, temporary fillings, hand scaling, dental education, and then referral. And the idea is to recruit students from the countryside, from places around Liberia where we want them to work. So, for example, the Voinjama area where we went on that trip. And the idea is that we will recruit graduates from those areas, bring them to us for training, and then send them back again once they are qualified. So they will have an academic qualification that's recognized by the Liberian government and given by a Liberian university, and then they will be registered with the Liberian Medical and Dental Council. So they will have both an academic qualification and a clear registration with the government to allow them to practice. And so that's what we've been working on over the last year or more, and that's what our team has been developing. We can't do this. I can't do this all by myself. I've been working with this Indian dentist, Renju, and his dental wife, Serin, and they are in the process of trying to join SIM to come out to Liberia to help to teach the course. This is some of the people that we're working with. our different partners from the UK and within Liberia, including Christian Dental Fellowship, of course, and not to forget DentAid. DentAid are suppliers of dental equipment, both second-hand and some new stuff, and they will be supplying our graduates with portable dental kits, very similar to what we've been using already in Liberia. And each graduate will have a kit, as well as their qualification. And we're also going to insist that our students are sponsored, and the sponsor will not just be involved financially, but the sponsor will be there to ensure that when they graduate, they will have a place to work. So they'll have somewhere to work, something to use to do the work, and the qualifications to do it. And so that's the aim that we've been trying to develop. Here's the artist's view from the side again. And what we're planning is another 6 surgeries on the ground floor with sterilization and waiting area. And then on the upstairs, classrooms and office space and changing facilities. Now, this building obviously costs money, and the lack of a building is not going to stop us from starting the course. We're aiming to start the course using facilities that we already can borrow on the compound, but we're only going to be starting with 4 students. If we have this building, we will be able to take as many as 8, 10, even 12 students, and so expand what we're planning. Our patron is the Vice President of Liberia, Dr. Jewel Howard-Taylor. We tried to contact her back in November, couldn't get hold of her. Fortunately, her daughter came in with toothache a couple of months ago, and I was able to treat her and send her home with another copy of our letter, and she came in 2 days later and was happy to agree to be our patron. All this information you can find in our brochure. This brochure is available to download on our website, which I'll come to in a second. Just notice there on the back of the page, there's details of our budget. We're seeking to raise £750,000, which would cover the running costs of the school for the next 5 years, and also cover Eddie and Wani's costs for their university, and also the costs for the outreach trips and for our benevolence fund. All the details you'll find on our website, along with the video that I'm going to show in a moment. So far, we have 38% of our funding already in house, and we're praying and seeking to raise the balance of that over the coming months. If you don't get our newsletter and you would like to, please get in touch, and we can add you to our mailing list. I'm going to finish with a story and then a short 5-minute video. So this is Anne. This picture was taken on the 7th of November 2017. Anne came to see us with this swelling in her mouth. She'd only had it for 2 months, and it was purple, and her teeth were starting to get a little bit loose. By the end of November, it had already grown more than double its size. And I was talking to Tony about taking Anne to Guinea in January 2018. And by the time we took her there, just a few weeks later, tumour was filling her mouth. And Tony said if he hadn't operated on Anne, within that next week, she would have died. She was bleeding like mad from this swelling. Tony was able to remove the swelling from her mouth. We sent it for biopsy to America. It turned out to be an aggressive malignant cancer called osteosarcoma. Back in Liberia, we made a denture to replace all the teeth that had been removed and cover the big hole in her palate. And by God's grace and miracle, we managed to find the 2 drugs that were needed to start chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is not normally available in Liberia, but the drugs were found, and Anne had 4 lots of chemotherapy in the middle of 2018. So why do I show you a picture that was taken over 4 years ago? Well, because just a few weeks ago, Grace and I had the privilege of going to Anne's graduation, and I always get emotional telling this story, but you know, Anne's life has been saved by a whole group of people, including us, including Trinity Dental Clinic, And Anne just graduated in biomedical science and got a job with a local non-governmental organization. And when we went to her graduation, she was giving glory to God for the work he'd done in her life through ELWA Hospital and the dental clinic. And again, it's an example of demonstrating the love of God and making a difference one person at a time. Now I'm going to just finish with this 5-minute video.
My name's Simon Stretton-Downes. My wife Grace and myself have been working in Liberia now for nearly 5 years. Trinity Dental Clinic, this new incarnation, was opened in March 2019. During that time we've doubled the number of staff at the clinic. We've trained people to do tooth extraction, we've trained people to do hygiene, and we're able to provide a wide variety of dental services.
While I was on Facebook, I was able to see a guy who was giving up and referring to his situation that he had been bewitched, and I thought this was not wish, it was a dental issue. So I asked one of the dentists to have a look at it, and then she agreed that it was a dental issue. From that point, she was able to contact Thomas on his Facebook page and was able to encourage him to come over at the ELWA hospital. And then he had a surgery where the he was drained out, the pus was drained out of his face, and where the swelling was. So right now Thomas is doing okay, he's doing well, and now he knows that that was not because of wish, it was actually a situation that was being handled. If he had not done that, he was going to die.
I want to give Almighty God the glory, and for the Trinity Dental Clinic also, because we have been there for God and for this clinic, we have been there member now.
But the needs are tremendous. The problems of dental sepsis caused by tooth decay, caused by broken teeth, are massive. People can die from having a dental problem. So also over the last 2 years, we have been embarking on a number of outreach trips, taking our team out into the rural communities to try to meet dental needs.
I mean, it's good because you have a lot of people who come for dental needs, and in such an environment, there's no dental health care, there's no oral health care. So having patients like this, meeting the needs of them, I mean, it's so interesting.
But the problem is that as soon as we leave, the service stops. How much better would it be if there was somebody working in Voinjama all the year round to provide dental care?
Simon started training me to do extraction, and well, it was good. He's a really great teacher, and I learned a lot, and I have been learning ever since. As someone comes in so much pain and you're able to do something, they are leaving smiling.
So behind me here you can see Trinity Dental Clinic, which was opened in March 2019, and the space immediately behind me is where we anticipate the new dental therapy training school sitting.
I have been working along with Dr. Simon, also learning new things, because in Liberia the situation is totally different from what you see outside. You have cases like broken jaws, you have trauma, different trauma cases, you have very large swellings, and there are a lot of difficult cases here in Liberia, because most often people here don't even know how to prevent dental decay, and most often they come at the hospital when it's already in the last stages.
The last year we have been planning to open the Liberia Dental Therapy School, and this will train people to examine, diagnose, refer, treat where they can, so that they can meet the needs in the rural communities in the coming days. The Vice President has agreed to be the patron for the new dental therapy training school. We're very excited about that, and we're really looking forward to seeing what develops in the coming years.
There's a lot of need for oral health. People need to be taught, people need to be trained.
We're hoping to open in September with 4 students. Once we've built the new building, we will be able to expand the number of people that we take on, and so that potentially we could take 6, 8, 10, even 12 students each year. So that's the next level that we're aiming for here at Trinity Dental Clinic, and we hope that you will be able to take part and support us in this new venture.